How's it going, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? My name is Veronic, coming to you from World of Warcraft. I was playing a little bit, and I kind of decided that I would make a video explaining to you my talents and glyphs that I use and will be using in MoP and use currently. So let's go over it, and I will also describe to you the other talents as well in the trees and the levels. But I won't go into too much detail with it. The reason why I'm going to tell you about them, so that way when you make your own talent build, you can maybe add your own little spice to it. So let's go with the first talent. First talent I choose is Long Arm of the Law. Basically what Long Arm of the Law is, every time you successfully judgment an opponent, you gain 45% movement speed for 3 seconds. And the reason why I chose this talent is because I couple it with my second talent, which is very, very useful together because you're getting 2 effects from 1 spell. But I'll get into the second talent a little bit later. So, also in the first tree is Pursuit of Justice and Speed of Light. Now, Long Arm of the Law, to me, outshadows both of them. Pursuit of Justice gives you a 15% base movement speed at all times, and then for each charge of Holy Power up to 3 gives you 5% additional movement speed. So for every charge of Holy Power you have, you get up to 5% movement speed, ending in a total of 30% increased movement speed. So now you have 30% increased movement speed at all times, or 45% burst speed. I would personally prefer the 45% burst speed. Then you have Speed of Light, which is on a 45-second cooldown. It's kind of like a pally sprint, which increases your movement speed by 70% for 8 seconds. This is the lesser of the 3. I would not take this at all for PvP. I do not think it is viable at all, because it's not like, you know, Druid Sprint, which can get you out of snares, or even Rogue Sprint, which can get you out of snares. It's just a sprint. You know, it's just there. But it's definitely viable for PvE. Both of these talents, Pursuit of Justice and Speed of Light, are definitely viable for PvE. Don't get me wrong. Because PvE, standing in things is bad. Who knew? So, taking either of these two would be very good for PvE, but for PvP, I would definitely recommend Long Arm of the Law. Now we're getting onto the second tier of the talent trees. The second tier of the talent trees I choose varies depending on what kind of comp I'm running in arenas, or if I'm running Battlegrounds. When I'm running Battlegrounds, I take Burden of Guilt, and when I'm running Ret, Hunter, anything, I take Burden of Guilt as well. The reason being behind Burden of Guilt is because you get a 50%, it's basically a pally slow. You get a pally slow for every time you land a judgment. And not only that, but it also gives the judgment also gives the brittle bones effect. Excuse me. So now on to my alternate second tier choice. I do use an alternate second tier choice when I'm running Vanguard's Cleave. When I'm running Vanguard's Cleave, there's just not enough CC to go around. So what I take is Fist of Justice. Why not Repentance? The reason why I don't take Repentance is because Repentance is on 15-second cooldown, and it has a cast time, so it has a chance to be interrupted. And because I'm a melee DPS and I'm always on a target, it's going to be very difficult for me to get a Repentance off. So instead of that, I would rather take the 6-second stun with the 30-second cooldown at a 20-yard range. Forget about it. No contest there when it comes to Vanguards. And the reason why I use Burden of Guilt when it comes to Ret, Hunter, or anything is because Hunters have enough CC to cover me at any point in time. I do not need to worry about CC at all when I run with a Hunter. So that's the second tier. Now onto the third tier. For the third tier, I take Selfless Healer. Selfless Healer, basically what it does is each time you judgment, you get 1 stack of Selfless Healer. After 3 stacks, your Flash of Light becomes instant cast and also does 100% additional healing. This is a very overpowered off heal. I know a lot of Ret Paladins like to take Sacred Shield, which basically gives you a little bubble, but Sacred Shield isn't effective enough for my taste. I do not enjoy, I believe Sacred Shield is no more than a prop move only, because it doesn't absorb enough. Once Sacred Shield goes down, you're squished, you know? I mean, not squished, I mean, obviously Paladins are plate wearers, but not nearly as effective as Selfless Healer in my opinion. Eternal Flame, this is just a holy move, purely a holy move. I mean, I guess if you really wanted to, you could use it as kind of a pally recoup, but the problem is it costs Holy Power, and Holy Power when you're a Ret Paladin is far too valuable to be using on heals unless you're in a dire situation. you should be using Holy Power on Templar's Verdict, Inquisition, and if you're really low health, you should be using it on Word of Glory. And Word of Glory is still, right now in the pre-patch in Cataclysm, it is very overpowered, even still, especially when you get to low health. Onto the fourth talent tier, the one that I choose for this talent tier is Clemency. Now, Clemency speaks for itself. Basically, this allows you to have 2 freedoms, 2 hands of sacrifice, and 2 hands of protection before they go on cooldown. Need I say more? This is just one of the most useful talents. I have not had to hit Emancipate once because of this talent. And when I do, it's because I'm fighting a Frost Mage. That is the main reason why I'd have to hit Emancipate. But the other talents in this are Unbreakable Spirit. When your Divine Shield, Divine Protection, or Lay on Hands are on cooldown, spending Holy Power will reduce the remaining cooldown by 1% per Holy Power spent, up to a maximum of 50% reduction. This would actually be pretty decent for duels. Especially if you're in a never-ending duel, like when a Ret Paladin and a Boom can go at it because of their outstanding off-heals. This would definitely come in handy. Basically what it is each time you spend Holy Power, 1% of the cooldown remaining on your Divine Shield, Divine Protection, or Lay on Hands is reduced, and it goes up to a maximum of 50% of the cooldown reduced. And then the final one is Hands of Purity. This is pretty useful when you're fighting locks, because damage of harmful periodic effects is reduced by 70%, which actually would be very good if you're dueling a Warlock, but unfortunately you cannot change your talents in a duel. I wish they would do that, but you can't. So for me, Clemency all the way, but whatever you guys choose is up to you. So finally, the final tier for Cataclysm is, and I'll also go over with you what my level 90 tier ability is going to be. This one is Holy Avenger. Holy Avenger, basically what it does, does what Zealotry used to do, but now Zealotry doesn't exist, and Holy Avenger is now a talent ability. So now, basically what Holy Avenger does is abilities that generate your Holy Power, deal additional 30% damage, and also generate 3 charges of Holy Power. And it lasts 18 seconds and on 2-minute cooldown. I usually pop this with my wings, and I pop it with my wings as excuse me, as part of my one-shot macro for Ret Paladins, and I'll go over that at a later date. So basically what this does is you have 3 abilities that generate Holy Power for the most part. You have Exorcism, you have Judgment, and you have Crusader Strike. Now, all 3 of these abilities will generate 3 Holy Power when you have Holy Avenger activated. This is so much burst damage, it's not even funny. This is your bread and butter when it comes to kill targets. In an arena, when you have a kill target, you pop your wings, you pop Holy Avenger, you pop whatever trinket you have, and you just lay into him. So that is why I picked that one for PvP. But that does not mean it is the only one that is viable. One of the ones that I did consider taking was this one, Divine Purpose. And basically each time I cast abilities that cost Holy Power basically have a chance to proc Divine Protection, or Divine Purpose, excuse me. And basically what it does is it basically gives you a free 3 Holy Power. So I was considering that one for PvP, but then when I saw that Holy Avenger was in the talent tree, there was no contest. And last but not least, Sanctified Wrath. This is not too useful for a Retribution Paladin because all it does is reduce the cooldown of Hammer of Wrath by 50% when you have wings up. Now, the reason why I don't want to take this, I would not take this one, is because Hammer of Wrath is not as good as you would think. It's not like Execute on a warrior. It just doesn't do enough damage for, doesn't do enough damage for Sanctified Wrath to appeal to me. So now that we've gone over all of the Cataclysm talents, I'm going to go over with you the mop talent that I'll be taking. The mop talent that I'll be taking is Execution Sentence. From all the videos that I've seen on YouTube, from all the research that I've been doing on this ability, this is going to be one of my biggest damage dealing offensive cooldowns. This thing hits so hard in mob. I've seen it do, I think, maybe it was a 90k crit as soon as it landed or something like that. I'm trying to remember, but I can't remember the exact details of it. So that is going to be my mop talent. So now that you have a general idea of what my talents look like, I'm going to go over my glyphs. So let's take a look. Now, as you can see, I'm missing a glyph spot just because I don't have the glyph that I'm looking for. Let me see which one. It's just a fun glyph. Find it. Oh, Falling Avenger. I mean, it's pretty cool. Or Fire from the Heavens. Excuse me, I'm trying to decide which one would be more beneficial, which neither of them are beneficial because they're just fun glyphs. So now onto my glyphs. First glyph, first one of my primary glyphs that I take is the Glyph of Word of Glory, which increases the damage by 3% per holy power spent after you cast Word of Glory or Eternal Flame. So basically it gives you an increased damage effect. Now, on the flip-flop side, which, of course, if it's increased damage effect, there's increased or decreased damage effect. That is why I take Glyph of Templar's Verdict. Each time you hit Templar's Verdict, you take 10% less damage. So if you're a Ret Paladin, you know what you're doing, and you're always hitting Templar's Verdict, you're always going to have 10% less damage taken. And then I also use the Glyph of Double Jeopardy. This, a lot of my friends that I play with have been giving me crap for this, but definitely a viable glyph. Definitely, without a doubt, a viable glyph. The reason being is because when you judge target, basically what happens is you get a little buff called Double Jeopardy, and when you send judgment onto your next target, it does 20% increased damage. Now you're like, you may be saying to yourself, well, judgment doesn't do that much damage in the first place. Well, you'd be surprised what happens when you get a crit on it and it's got 20% increased damage. You're hitting for probably about a 12 to 13k judgment, which is big for a judgment, and that's just more burst damage on your part. So now that you've seen some of my talents and glyphs, you'll be seeing a lot more PvP from this character. I've really been getting into World of Warcraft a lot. I know I said that I'd be posting other games, and I've been trying to, but some of the videos have been too long. It's just been an absolute pain. So, thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe to this video. And a lot more is coming from this guy. Trust me, a lot more. So, thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, Veronic out.